Hello guys, and welcome back to another Girls Frontline 2 video. So, Phaetusa is finally here in the game, and after looking through her entire kit, I can already tell you one thing. She is definitely not your average DPS character. This is one of the most overloaded and technical kits we've seen in the game so far. She has follow-up attacks, AoE pressure, support actions, debuffs, state reversal mechanics, and insanely high burst potential. But the big question everyone is asking right now is whether she's actually meta, whether she's worth your pulls, and if you really need her signature weapon or dupes. Fetusa is a Sentinel-class melee corrosion DPS built around stacking a mechanic called Blade Resonance. The more stacks she gains, the harder she scales. Her gameplay loop revolves around applying lacerating wound to enemies, stacking Blade Resonance through repeated attacks and support actions, then cashing everything out with massive burst damage using her ultimate. What makes her especially interesting is how many different mechanics are packed into her kit. She has AoE mobility, extra commands, support attacks, debuffs, and even state reset mechanics that allow her to revert back to a previous state after certain actions. This makes her one of the more mechanically demanding characters in the game, but also one of the most rewarding if played correctly. In terms of the current meta, Phaetusa looks extremely strong. She feels like a top-tier melee corrosion carry with very high scaling potential. One of her biggest strengths is that she combines both sustained damage and burst damage into a single package. Most DPS units tend to specialize in one or the other, but Phaetusa can do both, depending on how you build and play around her stacks. Her support action mechanic is especially powerful in AoE-focused teams, because whenever allies hit enemies within her range using AoE attacks, she can jump in with additional damage. That means her value increases even more as your account becomes stronger and your teams become more optimized. According to her recommended team setups, she synergizes extremely well with units like Klukai, Lind, Mekti, and Peritia. If your account already has strong AoE units or corrosion synergy, Phaetusa becomes significantly more valuable. However, I wouldn't necessarily call her a must-pull account-changing character for newer players. She feels more like a premium, high-investment DPS designed for players with more developed rosters. If your account still lacks universal supports, core tanks, or flexible meta units, your pulls might be better spent elsewhere. But for mid-game and end-game players, Fetusa looks incredibly powerful, and potentially one of the best scaling melee carries we've had in a long time. Now let's talk about her signature weapon, because this is probably where a lot of people are going to be tempted to spend extra pulls. The good news is that you absolutely do not need the weapon for Fetusa to function. Her base kit already looks very complete at V0. That being said, her signature weapon will likely be a very high-value upgrade because her entire kit revolves around repeated attacks, Blade Resonance stacking, burst amplification, and follow-up damage. Any weapon that boosts consistency, crit scaling, corrosion damage, or follow-up attacks is naturally going to perform extremely well on her. Still, the game is a game where roster depth matters more than hyper-investing into one character, especially for free-to-play players and low spenders. Because of that, I would personally prioritize getting the character first before even thinking about the signature weapon. If you already have strong alternative weapons available, Phaetusa should still perform extremely well without her signature. As for dupes, Phaetusa already looks very strong at V0. Her core gameplay loop feels fully functional without needing additional copies, which is a huge win for free-to-play players. V1 will probably end up being the sweet spot for most people, if it improves Blade Resonance generation, consistency, or support action frequency, because those are usually the types of upgrades that make scaling characters feel much smoother to play. However, this does not look like a character that absolutely requires high dupes to become viable. Whales going for higher investments like V3 or V6 are obviously going to unlock much higher damage ceilings, but for the average player, V0 already seems strong enough. V1 looks more like a luxury upgrade rather than a necessity, and anything beyond that is mostly for min-maxing. Overall, Phaetusa looks like a genuinely powerful and future-relevant character with excellent long-term scaling. If you enjoy aggressive melee DPS units with flashy mechanics, strong synergy, and rewarding gameplay, she is absolutely worth considering. On the other hand, If your account still lacks core meta units or you're trying to be very careful with your resources, you may want to think twice before fully committing. At the end of the day, Fetusa feels like one of the more exciting releases we've had recently in the game, and she definitely has the potential to become a top-tier carry in the right teams. Let me know what you think about her in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.